Hi, I'm Pamela Anderson, and one thing you don't know about me is you pretty much know everything by now. I don't think there's any secrets here.
We have always said it is about the children. It's not just about me. Never just made it about me. I'm just the loudest one.
Pamela Anderson has long been a household name, but in recent months, her story has taken a darker turn. As she begins to open up about her experiences, she's shedding light on the unsettling realities behind some of Hollywood's most infamous parties. It's hard to reconcile that the same woman who graced magazine covers and starred in Baywatch was once entangled in the shadowy world of celebrity gatherings, hosted by some of the industry's most powerful figures. Now, Anderson is ready to speak out, especially about what she witnessed at parties thrown by none other than Diddy comms.
Really an experience, and I think just it's too hard to come up with one thing, but it was all wild all the time.
Hollywood has always been full of secrets, but Pamela Anderson's recent revelations go far beyond the typical scandals we're used to hearing about. She's now speaking out about disturbing rituals and unsettling events that took place at some of Diddy comms' infamous parties. Things so shocking that even someone as seasoned as Pamela was left deeply disturbed. For years, Pamela was seen as just a pretty face, a blonde bombshell on Baywatch, but behind that image, she witnessed some of the darkest sides of fame, including the objectification, exploitation, and media frenzy that followed her every move. Her involvement in this story is no accident. She's someone who's been through it all and is finally ready to expose what she experienced. These parties weren't the typical Hollywood affairs with glitz and glamour. According to Pamela, there was a pervasive, chilling atmosphere at Diddy's events that suggested something much darker was unfolding just out of sight. It's no wonder she hesitated to speak out until now.
Now, to the latest on the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs. This one has so many people talking. The disgraced music mogul facing federal racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking charges. Both the prosecution and defense teams are set to discuss the next phase of action following the indictment as investigators work to determine potential co-conspirators. But how exactly did we get here?
What's even more disturbing is that Pamela Anderson isn't the only one with troubling stories about these gatherings. Over the years, rumors have swirled about what really happened at Diddy's infamous parties, with whispers of secretive rituals, bizarre behaviors, and even allegations of coercion. Several people who attended these events have come forward, describing an atmosphere of manipulation and control. Some recall feeling trapped, unable to leave, while others talk about being pressured into doing things they later regretted. These aren't just baseless claims from anonymous sources either. Some high-profile figures have backed up these allegations. Take Ally Carter, for example, who recently shared her own disturbing experiences at Diddy's parties, calling what she witnessed nothing short of horrifying. Like Pamela, Ali describes a world where power and control were the driving forces, and people were coerced into actions they would never have agreed to under normal circumstances. It's the kind of story that makes you wonder just how deep this rabbit hole really goes.
So I'm telling you right now, a lot of people don't want to get it. There's enough of you to do something, anything. And there's so many of you able to get loud.
The rumors surrounding Diddy's parties have also garnered attention from several people in Hollywood, with some suggesting these events were more than just an opportunity for fun. They may have been orchestrated for a much darker purpose. There are claims that certain individuals were groomed for roles they didn't consent to, all while surrounded by powerful figures who held enormous influence. If true, these allegations paint a picture of an industry where the line between entertainment and exploitation isn't just blurred, it's completely erased. This brings us back to Pamela Anderson. Having spent decades in the spotlight, she understands how Hollywood's power dynamics work and has witnessed firsthand how people can be used, discarded, and silenced by those with more influence. But attending one of Diddy's parties was a wake-up call for her. It wasn't just another instance of bad celebrity behavior. It was something far more sinister. According to insiders, Pamela left the event early, deeply shaken by what she had witnessed. She's since confided in close friends that it was one of the most disturbing nights of her life, and she's still processing it years later.
Just to tell the truth, so hopefully we can get down to the bottom of this. I'm 100%, the charges against me are 100% false, and hopefully due to time, we'll start to see that.
The fact that someone as famous as Pamela Anderson could feel unsafe at a Hollywood party speaks volumes about the kind of environment these events created. For years, Hollywood has been a place where powerful figures could act with impunity, free from fear of consequences. But Pamela's story, along with others like it, is beginning to change that. More and more people are coming forward to share their experiences, and the picture that's emerging is far from pretty. Let's not forget that Diddy has been at the center of several controversies over the years. While his reputation as a music mogul and businessman has made him a household name, there have long been whispers about the darker side of his empire. Now, with more individuals like Pamela speaking out, those whispers are becoming harder to ignore. The allegations against him are serious and continue to pile up, from claims of manipulation to accusations of coercion. It seems the world is finally getting a glimpse of what's been hidden behind the glitz and glamour.
They are done with Diddy. Jay-Z is up next to be exposed, right?
One of the most shocking aspects of these allegations is the notion that Diddy's parties weren't just about having fun, they were about control. According to multiple sources, guests were often pressured into doing things they weren't comfortable with, all disguised as part of the fun. It's been suggested that Diddy used his power and influence to create an atmosphere where people felt unable to say no, whether it was staying at the party longer than they wanted or taking part in activities that made them uneasy. Many attendees left feeling manipulated. Pamela's experience aligns with this narrative. She's described feeling a sense of unease as soon as she arrived at one of Diddy's events. What began as a glamorous party quickly shifted into something more ominous, with strange behaviors and unsettling interactions happening all around her. While she hasn't gone into full detail about what she witnessed, it's clear that something about the party left her deeply disturbed, and she's not the only one who feels that way.
In her civil lawsuit, Cassie said that she was the victim of abuse, assault, and at the hands of Diddy.
Other attendees have come forward with similar accounts, describing Diddy's parties as anything but typical. Some have even suggested that certain rituals or performances were part of the evening's entertainment, activities that went far beyond what you'd expect at a Hollywood event. These so-called performances were allegedly designed to push boundaries and make people feel like they were part of something exclusive. But for many, it crossed into something far more sinister. Ali Carter, for example, has spoken about her experiences at Diddy's parties where she felt trapped. She described a situation where people were encouraged to engage in behaviors they wouldn't normally consider, all while being surrounded by powerful figures in the industry. According to her, it was an environment where saying no wasn't truly an option and where attendees felt pressured to go along with whatever was happening.
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the shoe have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there.
This sense of entrapment is something Pamela has echoed in her own accounts. While she hasn't gone into as much detail as some of the other attendees, it's clear that she felt something was deeply wrong at the event. For someone who has spent as much time in the industry as Pamela, it takes a lot to shock her, but whatever she witnessed that night left a lasting impression, one that she's still grappling with today. It's also important to note that these allegations aren't coming from just one or two individuals. Over the past few months, more and more people have come forward with their own stories about Diddy's parties. Some have described experiences similar to Pamela's and Ali's, while others have shared even more disturbing accounts. What's becoming clear is that these events weren't isolated incidents. They were part of a larger pattern of behavior that many in Hollywood were aware of but chose to ignore.
There's no vindication for me because for 4 years I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going on.
This brings us to the bigger question. How did Diddy get away with this for so long? Part of the answer lies in the culture of silence that has dominated Hollywood for decades. For years, people in the industry were aware of the dark side of fame, but very few were willing to speak out, whether due to fear for their careers or a belief that no one would believe them. As a result, many victims stayed silent. But now, with high-profile figures like Pamela Anderson speaking out, that silence is beginning to break. Pamela's decision to come forward marks a turning point in this story. Having been in the public eye for so long, she has a platform that few others do. Her willingness to share her experiences is helping to expose the darker side of Hollywood and encouraging others to do the same. In many ways, Pamela's story represents a larger shift in the entertainment industry. More and more people are realizing that the old rules no longer apply, and the days of sweeping uncomfortable truths under the rug are over.
This is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail cell right now, I think it really underscores the magnitude of what he's facing and the weight of the federal government.
Of course, Diddy has denied all of these allegations through his representatives, calling the claims baseless and asserting that he's being unfairly targeted. However, as more individuals come forward, it's becoming increasingly difficult for him to dismiss these stories as mere rumors. The growing number of allegations, along with the specific details that have been shared, suggests there's more to the story than Diddy would like the public to believe. For Pamela, speaking out isn't just about sharing her own experience, it's about holding those in power accountable. She's made it clear that she's not afraid to confront some of the biggest names in the industry, even if it means facing backlash, and she's not alone. Other high-profile figures are beginning to join her, sharing their own stories and demanding accountability from those who have abused their power for far too long.
This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly.
As more details emerge, it's becoming clear that Diddy's parties were just the tip of the iceberg. What Pamela and others have described is a culture of exploitation that stretches far beyond one man. It's a system that has allowed powerful individuals to get away with actions that would be unthinkable in any other industry. But now that system is beginning to unravel. Pamela's story is just one piece of a much larger puzzle, but it's a critical one because it reveals that even those at the top of the fame hierarchy aren't immune to the darker side of Hollywood. For too long, figures like Diddy have operated in the shadows, using their influence to silence those who might speak out against them. However, with Pamela's revelations, the tide is finally starting to turn.
US judge has ruled that the rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs will stand trial on federal trafficking and racketeering charges in May. He'll be held in prison until then. Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges that he used his business empire to transport women and male workers across state lines to take part in recorded performances. If convicted, he could face a life sentence.
As we move forward, it's likely that even more people will come forward with their own stories, and with each new account, the full extent of what's been happening behind the scenes in Hollywood will become clearer. For now, Pamela's decision to speak out serves as a powerful reminder that no one is untouchable, and the truth always finds a way to surface. As more individuals share their experiences about the darker side of Hollywood, the focus is shifting away from just individual figures like Diddy. The real question now is who else was involved. Let's be honest, it's hard to believe someone as powerful as Diddy could have orchestrated these alleged activities alone. There had to be others. People in his inner circle, industry insiders, or even other major Hollywood names who either turned a blind eye or were directly complicit in what was happening.
I think it's to be expected, just the shock of this and the questions about what is ahead of us. How long is he going to be in custody? Is this an R. Kelly situation? Is he going to not get out for a number of years? Is he going to end up serving a long-term prison sentence from this? Or does he have a chance of beating these charges at a trial that could come, within the next 2 years?
This is where things become even more complicated. For years, Hollywood has operated under a veil of secrecy, with certain individuals seeming untouchable. But now that the FBI is involved in the investigation, that veil is starting to lift. And it's not just Diddy who's under scrutiny. Rumors are circulating that several other high-profile figures could be implicated, either as enablers or participants in the disturbing behavior that has been described. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture, because this story isn't just about one man's alleged misconduct. It's about a system that allowed it to persist for years. Diddy was long seen as one of the most influential figures in the music and entertainment industries, building an empire and surrounding himself with people who helped sustain his power. But now, as these stories come to light, it's becoming clear that some of those people may have played a far larger role than anyone realized.
I have to still say allegedly, has done things and allegedly participated in a lot of things that the public would not be happy to know.
Think about it. When you're at the top of the entertainment food chain, you don't get there by accident. You need a loyal team of supporters, people who are willing to keep secrets, cover things up, and protect your image at all costs. According to some of the latest whispers from Hollywood, Diddy's team may have done exactly that. There are even rumors that certain individuals helped orchestrate the very events that guests like Pamela Anderson found so disturbing. In fact, some insiders are now claiming that these parties weren't just wild celebrity gatherings. They were carefully orchestrated affairs where the most powerful people in the room knew exactly what was happening. What's more, they allegedly made sure anyone who wasn't directly involved stayed silent. It's a chilling thought, but it's one that's gaining traction as more details come to light.
Understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on watch.
What's even more shocking is the possibility that some of Hollywood's biggest names may have been aware of these activities and simply turned a blind eye. There are even whispers that a few of them might have been present at these events. Could it be that the silence surrounding Diddy's parties wasn't just out of fear, but because some of the most powerful figures in the entertainment industry were complicit in what was happening? It's a question that's starting to attract a lot more attention, especially now that the FBI is involved. The fact that federal agents raided Diddy's properties in March 2024 is a major development in this case. According to reports, the raids were part of a broader investigation into allegations of misconduct that span years. While Diddy's legal team has been quick to downplay the significance of the raids, the fact that they occurred at all suggests investigators are taking these allegations very seriously. It's not every day that a federal agency like the FBI steps into a case like this, and their involvement indicates that there's far more to this story than what we've seen so far.
It's a question of that, but when you read through the indictment, it's pretty clear who could be indicted as a co-conspirator. Right now, there are people in the indictment who would be considered unnamed co-conspirators, but clearly have played a role in this conspiracy. And I think prosecutors have some big leverage on them because they're hoping that they testify against Diddy as prosecution witness.
What's even more intriguing is the possibility that some of the evidence gathered during these raids could implicate other high-profile individuals. According to several sources, investigators seized a large amount of electronic data, including phones, computers, and other devices. If these devices contain any incriminating information, such as messages, emails, or even videos, it could spell trouble for anyone involved in or aware of the activities at Diddy's parties. There's also been considerable speculation about the role that audio and video recordings might play in this investigation. Some insiders have suggested that Diddy may have regularly recorded certain parts of his events, possibly as a way to maintain control over the people who attended. If these recordings exist, they could serve as crucial evidence of what really happened at these gatherings and who was involved. And if any of those recordings capture high-profile figures engaging in inappropriate behavior, it could lead to some very public reckonings.
If that's part of the indictment, that's somewhat like a blackmail. He was blackmailing people to be in the freak-offs. So that's federal. That could be that's a federal charge. He can't blackmail people to say, yo, listen here, you did it once and you're gonna do it again. That ain't gonna make it with the government or nobody.
The possibility of video evidence from these events is particularly unsettling, especially for those who might have been caught on camera. Imagine being one of Hollywood's most powerful figures, knowing that there's a chance your darkest secrets could be exposed for the world to see. It's a nightmare that no amount of money or influence could easily resolve. But let's not forget, the stakes are even higher than just reputational damage. If the FBI uncovers enough evidence to support the claims being made, some of the individuals involved could be facing criminal charges, not just minor ones, but serious charges that could have devastating consequences. Depending on the nature of the evidence, these figures could be looking at legal repercussions that could derail not just their careers, but their entire lives.
Some people do think that Diddy can help him, but this guy's going to be locked up forever. His case will probably take at least 3 years to litigate. He'll stay at MDC. There's rumors that he wants to go to Essex County Jail in New Jersey because he doesn't like MDC. He's a Marshals inmate. There's no way they're going to transfer him back and forth, I don't know, several times a week.
For now, Diddy remains the central figure in this investigation. He's already facing multiple lawsuits, and the criminal charges tied to the FBI's inquiry could be just the beginning. Reports have indicated that Diddy was arrested in September 2024 on charges including conspiracy, misconduct, and more. If convicted, he could be facing significant jail time. But let's be clear, this isn't just about Diddy anymore. His downfall could trigger a domino effect, taking down several other powerful figures along the way. What's also interesting is the timing of all this. Diddy has been in the public eye for decades, and while he's faced controversies before, nothing has ever come close to the level of scrutiny he's now under. So why is all of this coming to light now? Some insiders believe that the current cultural climate is a major factor. In the past, powerful figures in Hollywood could rely on their influence to keep things quiet. But in today's world, where social media and the 24-hour news cycle make it harder to hide the truth, it seems those days are over.
We may actually see one of the biggest divorces in Hollywood is because Jay-Z is up next to be exposed.
And let's not forget, this is happening at a time when Hollywood is already under intense scrutiny for its handling of misconduct. Over the past few years, several high-profile cases have come to light, each one chipping away at the industry's long-standing culture of silence. Now, with Diddy's case taking center stage, it feels like we've reached a tipping point. The entertainment industry is being forced to confront its darkest secrets, and it's becoming clear that no one, not even the most powerful figures, will be spared. But here's where things get even more complicated. While Diddy's legal team is fighting hard to clear his name, there are whispers that other high-profile figures are quietly distancing themselves from him. According to some sources, several of Diddy's former associates have cut ties with him in recent months, hoping to avoid getting dragged into the scandal. It's not just industry insiders keeping their distance. Some of Diddy's celebrity friends have also remained conspicuously silent since his arrest.
As far as, is he going to turn people in? Is he going to cooperate? If the federal government wants him to cooperate, and they're going to cut his time, because right now he's looking at 15 to life. With all the charges he had to. He won't get out till 70 years old. He about 70. That's when they start talking about letting him come to a halfway house.
One name that consistently comes up in these conversations is none other than Jay-Z. As one of Diddy's longtime associates, Jay-Z has been linked to him both professionally and personally for years. But as the allegations against Diddy continue to mount, people are beginning to wonder, could Jay-Z have known what was going on? And if so, what does that mean for his own reputation? To be clear, there's no concrete evidence connecting Jay-Z to the activities described at Diddy's parties, but that hasn't stopped the rumors from swirling. Some insiders have suggested that Jay-Z and Diddy were much closer than the public realized, and that Jay-Z may have been aware of some of the more troubling aspects of Diddy's personal life. Others have gone even further, speculating that Jay-Z may have attended some of the very events now under investigation.
But after that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his nefarious past.
Of course, Jay-Z's camp has remained silent on these rumors, and it's likely we'll never get a clear answer from him on this. After all, Jay-Z is known for keeping his private life, well, private. But in an industry where image is everything, even the mere hint of scandal can be damaging. With Diddy's case still unfolding, it's possible Jay-Z could find himself facing questions he'd rather not answer. What's even more interesting is how this situation could impact Jay-Z's relationships with other powerful figures in the industry. Over the years, he's built a reputation as one of the savviest businessmen in entertainment, forging alliances with some of the biggest names in the game. But if the Diddy scandal continues to grow, it could force some of Jay-Z's allies to reconsider their associations with him. After all, no one wants to be tied to someone facing public scrutiny, especially when the stakes are this high.
Jay-Z got his whooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange. You got it out. The feds ain't stepping in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your ass whooped.
Let's not forget that Jay-Z isn't the only one who could be impacted by this. Beyoncé, who has been married to Jay-Z for over a decade, is one of the most influential figures in the entertainment world. While she has largely managed to stay away from controversy, the fact that her husband is now being linked, albeit indirectly, to the Diddy scandal could create issues for her as well. As one of the most beloved and respected artists globally, any association with such a high-profile scandal could significantly harm her public image. It's important to note that Beyoncé has remained silent on the matter so far, and there's no evidence to suggest she was ever involved in any of the events under investigation. However, in Hollywood, perception is everything. With the media buzzing about possible connections between Diddy and other prominent figures, it's possible Beyoncé could find herself caught in the crossfire.
But there's also strategic reasons for the prosecutors to want him to have co-defendant, because right now he hasn't waived his right to a speedy trial, which would force prosecutors to take up the trial pretty quick, which they actually might not be ready to do. But if they supersede him and have co-defendants with him, it makes it a lot easier to pursue a trial continuance without him waiving his speedy trial right.
At this point, it's impossible to predict just how far-reaching the fallout from this scandal will be. What's clear, however, is that the entertainment industry is heading for a reckoning. With the FBI actively investigating and more victims stepping forward, we're likely to see even more shocking revelations in the months ahead. As these revelations unfold, they could bring down some of the most powerful figures in Hollywood. For now, all eyes are on Diddy as he faces the legal battle of his life. But make no mistake, this story is far from over. The deeper investigators dig, the more likely it is that additional high-profile names will be pulled into the scandal. If the rumors about others being complicit are true, Hollywood could be on the verge of its biggest shakeup yet.
I've thought Diddy would be throwing all his celebrity mates under the bus.
I mean, that could potentially be coming when it's time for court and when it's time for him to testify. But what we're seeing right now is how important public relations really are to Sean Combs. He's desperately trying to control the narrative behind bars, allowing his attorneys to do documentaries.
With all these shocking allegations coming to light, the big question is Hollywood finally ready to confront its darkest secrets? Or will powerful insiders find a way to bury this story before more names come to light? And what about the rumored connections? Could other celebrities have known what was going on at these infamous parties? We want to hear your thoughts, so don't hold back. Share them in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.